I don't even know at this point. I don't even know what to even. Yeah. Would it be calmer? No, not quite. I don't think, but life, the universe, and everything has a way of leveling things out. I'll leave this in. As I'll have probably put on screen at some point already, it is gone 5 o'clock in the morning. And now I've been, I guess, travelling back from London for about 6 hours. 5.5. So you know, you haven't even heard about the way I've decided it in my head. You haven't even heard about the London trip yet. But suffice it to say that I'm home. The London trip is over. You're about to hear about the London trip. In retrospect, I didn't really vlog at all, and I'll get to the reason why tomorrow for me, but very soon for you. But suffice it to say that I'm home now, and yeah, I had to walk back from Cardiff City to where this place is, where my old home used to be and still is. I don't know. Basically, it was impossible to get a taxi because Wales won against England, I think, in the rugby. Yay! Cool, I guess, but I mean, it still doesn't change the fact that I saw about 300 taxis and none of them were able to give me a lift home for less than about 30 quid. So I had to walk. And then my dad tried to get me a taxi halfway through me walking, and some pisshead tried to strangle me from behind, and so I had to elbow him swiftly in the side of the head, to which I then bolted down the road until I could barely breathe, just to make sure. Which sounds a lot more traumatizing than it actually was. There was only one guy who wanted to just, you got a fag, you got a fag. Yeah, so my dad was going to call, well, he's going to get a mate of his to pick me up. He's like, yeah, go by there and wait there and he'll pick you up, okay. 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes goes by, 15 minutes goes by, and I said, Dad, just forget it. I just want to get home. So I continued to walk, and I think it was 8.5 kilometers, and I'd already walked around 8.5 kilometers kind of earlier on today, or earlier on yesterday in London. So yeah, I've walked like about 17 kilometers in the past like 12 hours or something. So yeah, I am absolutely, I was going to say exasperated, exhausted, and how long have I been filming for? Oh, I thought I said 8 minutes, Jesus Christ, I was thinking, is time literally slowing down for me as I'm doing this video? No, 3 became an 8 then. But anyway, lots of good stuff to talk about in this, and I'll get to why there isn't much vlogging. Yeah, I'm like on another world at this point, you know. And I'll talk more about this and tonight, later on tomorrow. I need to go to bed. I need to sleep and try and get over the fact that I've just had probably one of the best kind of 24-hour periods of my entire life, and yet here I am, just kind of annoyed about the fact that I had to walk, you know, a few miles or whatever. And I just dug out my David Gilmour Deluxe Rattle That Lock program. Looks gorgeous, doesn't it? And yeah, in my bag it's kind of, the edges have got scuffed, and some of the kind of gorgeous finish on it has been a little bit tainted by just generalness of being in my bag, and so I'm kind of really annoyed about that. But I suppose I can still look inside and see some of the artwork, I guess, and be happy with it. I don't know why I'm even starting to show you this shit now, because that's for tomorrow. That's for when I get up tomorrow. So there we go. That'll be the next part of this video, which will be instantaneous for you, but after many, many hours of sleeping for me, which is brilliant. And to go all the way back to 4 years ago, the original epic journey, a bed. You know, as much as I appreciate the kind hospitality of James Merchant and his girlfriend, sleeping in a bed is a lot nicer than a couch. My own bed, and yeah, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be glorious, especially now. There's been an added layer of tiredness onto everything else that's gone on over the past couple of days. And yeah, I think I probably shot myself in the foot by trying to call this, well, not trying to, I am calling this the Epic Journey 2, because it just wanted to make this journey all the more epic for me by not having me get a mode of transport to go back home. And when I got back off the coach from London, and this is probably one of the most convoluted sentences that's ever come out of my mouth, you've just witnessed right there live on video. So I think this is definitely the time to actually do what I've been saying for the past couple of minutes and get off the camera and go to bed and talk to you again instantaneously for you after many hours of sleep for me. Good night for now, to me, to you. Okay, so it's the morning. It's it's the night after. It is the I guess it would be 7th of September 2015. It's around 10 o'clock at night, and I have had a day of rest. I've gone down to the oyster catcher near Penarth Marina, and had a really nice family meal. It was someone's birthday in the family, and yeah, it was really nice. Supposed to spend most of it talking to my dad about films and stuff, which was a lot of fun. But now I'm here to tell you about the trip, about Friday, and specifically the 25th of September. So I filmed a lot of stuff on my phone, which you're about to see. So this is going to be kind of a weird kind of hybrid of video style, because I filmed a lot, but I didn't vlog any of it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my kind of gallery up on my phone, which you can kind of see here. And I'm going to kind of go through it as I'm sat here talking to you. And I have some old Jamaican grape soda to get me through this. And I'm going to kind of use this to jog my memory and talk a little bit about the trip itself, and just everything that goes along with it, and the things I did, the things I saw, and we'll just move on from there really. Again, I have no real plan for this video or even series at this point, because it hasn't really gone to plan. I kind of wanted to, again, vlog more. I wanted to, you know, vlog on camera as the whole, you know, London trip, but it just didn't work out that way. And I think, yeah, I just scrolled all the way back, and it's taken me back to the beginning as I've been talking to you. Okay, any second now I'll get to the first parts of, yeah, okay, so, first of all, I got into Cardiff nice and early. I took in a bunch of things that I was selling, some more Blu-rays and a couple of games to get a bit of extra cash for the trip. Not that I needed it, per se, but it would have been nice, you know, just as an extra backup. So I got some more money from selling stuff in CEX in Cardiff. And then I went over to the Disney store, as I was talking about in the last part of this series. I wanted to see kind of how Star Wars-ized the Disney stuff had become, and as you can see here, the merchandise is everywhere. You know, just lots of Kylo Ren, tons of BB-8s and outfits, and just anything you can imagine, basically. They've slapped Star Wars The Force Awakens on it, and it was kind of fun to have a look and see some of the things they had. And even in the Lego store opposite that, they had more stuff. So that was kind of the beginning of my day. And then I also walked up to the Megabus stop after getting something to eat, and I noticed that they had put this big rugby ball into the side of Cardiff Castle, which is a really cool thing. Nice 3D effect, and rugby will come into play in a different way later on in the video. I'll tell you all about the rugby. So then got the Megabus from Cardiff into London, I should say, which took about 3.5 hours. And I was worrying the whole time, because the last time I came back from Cardiff to London to Norway, the coach was delayed a lot, and so I was concerned that I would get into London late and that I wouldn't get to the concert on time, which was ridiculous because it wouldn't start until at least you know, 7:30, so I had plenty of time. The coach was at like 12:20, and it turned up on time, and so I was really happy about that, and I had a nice kind of trip, just staring out the window and listening to, you know, Pink Floyd music, David Gilmour music, and getting ready for the festivities to come, and all that kind of good stuff. And then I got into London, and I made my way up to Leicester Square, because I was going to be meeting a fellow YouTuber, James Merchant, who was going to be putting me up for the night, and he kindly offered to meet me in Leicester Square before the David Gilmour show to take my bag. So I had a small bag with me, some stuff in, and so I went over to Leicester Square, but I had to walk there, so I wasn't sure on exactly how to get there from London Victoria. So I kind of got like a route from like an online kind of walking route calculator, and the directions were rubbish. They were terrible. I didn't know where I was going, and I'm very good. I have a very good sense of direction. I'm quite good at figuring out where to go and stuff, even if it's somewhere I've never been before, which goes back all the way to the first night that I kind of met Connie, my fiance. We were trying to find this place, and I was like, trust me, and eventually we found out where it was. So I kind of pride myself on my sense of direction, and then suddenly I ended up in Buckingham Palace, or outside it anyway, and I was like, what is going on? Am I supposed to be here? This doesn't seem right. But I started to have a look at, you know, some of the scenery. It was quite nice, and I filmed a little clip here and there of the you know, the palace and the nice statues outside. So that was kind of cool, I guess. I've been there before once, but yeah, it's not somewhere I go through regularly, even though I go to London a lot. But anyway, I eventually found my way to Leicester Square by using the kind of stands that they have around London, saying like, you are here, and there's like a little map. They're all over London, really handy, and so I used that to kind of pick and choose, you know, okay, there, that street, and then I found my way pretty quickly to Leicester Square, and then I stopped outside the Empire Cinema and sat down and waited for James to come over and meet me. We hadn't met before, so it was cool, and we had a very brief, not introduction, but you know, first meeting, I guess, and he took my bag and stuff, and he also very generously lent me his Oyster card, so that I could get on the tube without paying. He had like a monthly, I think he pays like 150 quid a month for it. It's crazy. But obviously he, you know, commutes in and out of the centre of London. That's where he works. So it was very, very nice of him. And yeah, so then I went over to South Kensington, I believe, was the next stop that I needed to take, or the only stop actually, the first stop of me getting onto the London Underground, and I ended up underground in this kind of subway, which had a little sign pointing to the Royal Albert Hall, which is kind of handy, and the subway kind of goes underneath, I guess, some of the museums in and around the area that the Royal Albert Hall is situated in, so it's kind of handy to get to the Royal Albert Hall from the underground station in a kind of quicker way, I guess. So yeah, you go underground for a while, you get up onto the streets, and I looked back and noticed that it said the subway section shuts at 10 o'clock. So I knew that I would have to find my way back to the underground station through a different route, which was kind of annoying, but I knew there'd be so many people going to the underground station anyway. I just followed the crowd basically, so, and that is what I ended up doing. Getting really out of breath even though I haven't been talking that much. Alright, so I got to Royal Albert Hall and kind of took in the view. There was this huge, great kind of statue thing outside the building, which was just gorgeous. I loved looking at it, especially as the sun was coming down and stuff. It just looked really, really cool. And the Royal Albert Hall itself is just a fantastic building. Like, just the just the symmetry of the circular dome. I just love the design of the building. It's fantastic. And yeah, so I just kind of had a look outside for a while. I was there really, really early, and all my kind of nerves and worry about getting my ticket were kind of very, very quickly thrown away. Basically, I turned up to the ticket office, door number 12, to collect my ticket, which is right here. And the woman said, "What is your name?" I told her my name, and she was like, "Oh, do you have your order number?" And she seemed very concerned, and eventually she found it. She found the envelope, she opened the envelope, and she gave me the ticket, and I was very, very happy about that indeed. In fact, what was it? She didn't check my ID. So again, it was like all this kind of, you know, there are no exceptions to this rule, you must have photo ID, you must have the card you paid with and all this, and your name must be on the ticket and stuff like that. But yeah, I got the ticket fine, and then walked around a bit, and waiting until the actual door inside the building opened, which was door number 8 for me. So I went in there, they did check my ID there, but it was all fine. Went straight through, and then I kind of went inside the bowels of the Royal Albert Hall. It's kind of cool. I love how every section, you know, whether you're on like the ground level or slightly higher up, or whether you're in the circle or the gallery, like every level of the building is just a big circle, like a big circular hallway. I love the design of it. And just walking around and seeing some of the pictures and stuff, the frames they had inside the hallways was really cool. And just like a painting I saw that was really cool as well, as you can see. Just love the building from top to bottom. It was just really, really cool, nice place. And then I got a drink from one of the many kind of restaurants and kind of bars they have in and around all of the, you know, circular hallways and things like that. And it was overpriced, sure, but I really needed a drink, and I was starting to get quite a bad headache, so I thought I'm just going to kind of preempt this and take like 3 ibuprofen. So I did that with a nice kind of cool glass of Sprite, which was very refreshing to say the least. And the guy who served me was really just beyond fucking polite, just like just a pleasure to be served by. Like, it's just nice when you see people who, you know, they make an effort with their job, you know, and it just kind of brightens your day up a little bit, you know. So that was kind of a really cool, just one of those things I think I'll remember about the Royal Albert Hall. So I had my ticket, and I thought, well, I should probably get something, yeah, to kind of commemorate the occasion, to commemorate the day, beyond being here. And so I went to the merchandise stall, of which they had quite a few, I think, and it wasn't as busy as I was expecting, but I got there so early that I think that that's why I didn't experience any queuing or anything like that, so that was good. And I decided to pick up the program, the official program, which is a very huge, massive thing. I wish it wasn't so big, because as I said earlier, the edges have gotten frayed and stuff in my bag. There was just no other way really for me to kind of transport it, I guess. You got the Rattle That Lock album cover on the back, really nice kind of textured, well, not textured, but it's like really nice feeling, high quality paper used, and it has kind of stuff about the tour itself, kind of a little mini biography on David Gilmour himself. It goes through the touring band, things like that, and just loads of pictures really. There's some of him now, as you can see him with his old beard, his old grey beard, and then some earlier images of him before the beard. So I guess that they were taken, I don't know, quite a few years ago, because it's been a long time since he's been playing live. A couple of images of himself and his wife. Again, stuff on the touring band, as I've already said. So you got like John Caron and Guy Pratt there, who have been kind of staples of Gilmour's live shows, and even, you know, his era of Pink Floyd back to the late 80s and early 90s. And yeah, that's about it really. There's some stuff about the music videos for the album, like the making of the Rattle That Lock video, which is cool. We get loads of images there. Oh, I feel really out of breath. Like I feel like I'm gasping a little bit. You know, maybe I should take some of my my asthma medicine. Now this is a really interesting image, and I really want to know what the story behind this image is, because you have the current David Gilmour touring band right here in this big double spread, playing Shine On You Crazy Diamond, and it's very recent, because you can see that Guy Pratt is balding and Gilmour has the beard. And again, you got the backing singers and the saxophone player as well. And I can only assume this is from the Brighton gig, the kind of pre-tour show kickoff at the beginning of September. But they were selling this program during that, so I don't understand. Like, oh, is it rehearsals? Well, no, because you can see there's a huge crowd at the front. So I don't know where this has come from. Again, you got the screen. It's all. I just have no idea where this picture's come from and how they've got it into the book so soon, unless the one that they were selling in Brighton was like a smaller version or something. I don't know. It always bugs me, things like that, just kind of I guess the technicalities of it. Oh, and I have to point this out as well, something I noticed, and it's just really, really pointless, but Guy, as in Guy Pratt, first met David on May 1st, 1984. Yes, whoever wrote this forgot to put a space between May and 1st in the booklet. I don't know if that'll even focus. Probably not, I can't even see from this angle. But basically there's not a spelling error or a grammatical error, but just a a typing error basically, and that really annoyed me. Well, not annoyed me. It didn't really annoy me. It was just kind of like, so, you know. I just feel like with something like that, or with anything really, you should always proofread, over and over again. But you know, I mean, I do that just for my reviews that I write of films online. I mean, when you're having something that's going to be in print, I just think you need to be really, you know, on the ball. So it was finally time for me to get inside the arena itself. I think it said on the ticket the doors opened at 6:45. Yeah, and the show starts at 7:45 p.m. as you can hopefully see there. If it'll focus. There we go. So I went in basically when the doors opened and found my seat, which was Circle U, row 7 and seat 145. And I would say that it is probably the one single seat in the entire arena, the entire building, that is the furthest away from the stage. Yeah, when Connie was booking this for me, she was going for one that was kind of in the circle section still, but much closer to the stage. And she said, well, why don't I pay a bit more to get you a better seat? And I was like, oh yeah, great. And so it seemed like it was a better seat, but I think that the cheaper alternative would have been a lot closer, and I would have seen a lot more of the show. But here's the thing. After, you know, having seen the show and everything, I think that being where I was kind of perfect. It would have been nice to be a little bit closer, sure, see kind of more details of his face and his guitar playing, but I had one of the best views, I think, in the whole building, because it was dead on to the stage and the big circular screen. There was a big speaker down that kind of covered maybe like about 5-10% of the screen, but that didn't really matter to me. I didn't really notice it that much, but I just got the full effect of that big. I mean, it was dead on. It was just like the Roger Waters The Wall show. I was right at the way at the back of the O2 Arena, but I had a perfect view, just square on. Saw everything. It was just awesome, and this was exactly the same. And you could, you know, argue that, well, with the wall, you know, you've got like a 200-foot wall being built on stage. It's a huge spectacle, whereas this is more about the, you know, musicianship and Gilmour playing guitar and all that kind of stuff. But, well, you know, the light show was out of this world, and so I really got the best benefit of seeing all the screen films and the lights and all that. And it kind of goes back to that thing of Gilmour where he and even Pink Floyd, I guess, in the very early days, and well, all the way up until the end of Pink Floyd, there's always been this element of larger than life, you know, spectacle. Don't look at us, look at all this, look at this flying pig, look at this airplane flying through the arena and crashing there. Let's build a wall so you can't even see us, you know. And I'm not saying that it was anyone in particular in Pink Floyd, but I think Gilmour has definitely inherited that kind of, you know, don't look at me, just, you know, lights, you know, look at this, lasers and shit, like, you know, there's always been a very kind of English restraint to Pink Floyd. Yeah, there's never been that kind of, you having a good time, come on, yeah, rock and roll, like, you'll never see that, you know, at, well, there'll never be another Pink Floyd show again, but you'll never see that at a David Gilmour show. Maybe Roger Waters, he has a bit more of kind of rock and roll punch to him, but yeah, with Gilmour is definitely a flashy show. Well, you know, he has done kind of smaller, more intimate things like the Meltdown show, but either way, I wouldn't say that's to a detriment of the show, because I thought it added so much to it, you know, and I don't think it took away from the music either. So I sat down and I waited for about an hour, and it was kind of just the building kind of anticipation. And as I was sat there, I was just thinking, like, looking around and seeing all the people kind of filter in, you know, I was like, wow, there's not really that many people here. And then before I knew it, all the seats were filled, and, you know, there was just this kind of interesting atmosphere, you know, just anticipation. And I knew that a lot of people who were there had been there the past 2 nights of the kind of run at the Royal Albert Hall, but I knew a lot of them hadn't as well. And so it was just a whole all-encompassing experience, you know, outside of just the show itself, but the before and the during, you know, during the intermission, and then afterwards, you know, it was such an all-round experience. And then, you know, it came time for the show, and I was just it's one of those things, you know, for me, David Gilmour's music, Pink Floyd's music has meant so much to me over the past 8 years of my life that I expected to be overwhelmed with emotion at seeing Gilmour play live. I mean, I said on a Facebook post like about 7 years ago, you know, that is one of the main things I want to do before I die, is see David Gilmour play live, and I never thought that I would actually be able to do that, to be able to say that I have. I just never expected that to come to pass, and it did. And it was almost like it was just not like, oh, I can't even concentrate, it's so crazy, or anything like that. It was very normal, and it was very unemotional, you know. And I think that Connie, who bought the ticket for me for my birthday, would probably be disappointed to hear that, you know. I think that she said to me a few times in the past couple of months, "You're gonna cry, you're gonna cry when," you know, and I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe, you know, it might get emotional, but it just didn't. And it was almost, I feel like, because it was, I just couldn't believe it, and I was almost stressed out because it was like, I have to enjoy this, I have to enjoy every second of this, because it's never going to happen again, you know. I mean, he's playing again, he's extending his tour through 2016, but you never know, you know. I might not be able to get to any of those shows, and you know, the likelihood anyway is that I wouldn't go either way, because I always saw this as, ever since Connie bought me the tickets, I always saw this as a one and done kind of thing. It's like, you get in, you get out, it's done, and that was your moment. You get one shot, you know. And I just think in terms of like people like David Gilmour and, you know, these aging musicians and even film stars and so on, I always think like there's going to be a point where they're going to go, you know, and they're not going to be around forever, certainly not. And so you kind of got to see them while you can and appreciate them while you can. And so for me, yeah, I mean, there's all the chances in the world I could see David Gilmour play live again, maybe even more than once. You know, maybe he'll do another tour in 2 or 3 years, and I'll go to a few of those shows. You never know. You never know how it's going to pan out. And I think he said once that he would quite like to think of himself as one of those kind of aging musicians who like kind of play at bars in their 90s and things like that. And I could see that, just Gilmour noodling away on a guitar in a kind of very small, intimate setting. I could see that happening, but you just never know. So yeah, I just kind of thought, right, I got to appreciate this while I can. That almost kind of put me off a little bit, but as soon as he came out and the lights came down, it was like, oh, this is on, you know, this is going to get awesome. And it did, because the opening song was 5 AM, the first track on Rattle That Lock. And like the moody, atmospheric kind of beginning opened, and then you just hit those first few notes, and it was just like unmistakable Gilmour. Just that tone, that way of playing, the phrasing, it was just like, you know. And again, it never got emotional for me, and I thought it would. I really did, because I'm quite an emotional person, and his music means so much to me, and to see him live meant so much to me. But it was just almost like a kind of a comfortable numbness. I don't know. That's terrible. We'll cut that. No, we won't cut that. We'll file it. But it kind of almost was. It was just kind of like a surreal feeling, like this isn't, you know. But then it didn't feel surreal. Afterwards it felt like it didn't happen. Afterwards it felt like, fuck yeah, that I just saw him play, like, you know. It was just very strange, but very enjoyable. And so I took quite a few videos, and pictures, and the whole thing was no pictures, no video, no exceptions. You know, you cannot take anything of this console. We will hunt you down, we will find you, we will kill you. And I think it's just a very backwards way of dealing with things these days. I don't know whether it comes from Gilmour's management. I don't know whether it comes his own request. I don't know if it comes from the Royal Albert Hall's request, but from what I understand, the whole tour, they're saying no pictures, no videos, even though half the people are streaming the whole show on Periscope. You know, so it kind of goes against everything, because everyone has a mobile phone, everyone has a camera, everyone has a portable recording studio at their fingertips. So it's going to get bootlegged, you know. But I mean, so what? You know, people are going to throw up a scratchy, you know, video clip of Comfortably Numb on YouTube, and how is that really hurting you, you know? And it gets taken down from YouTube anyway. You know, you put anything up on YouTube, it's instantly taken down anyway, so it's like, what's the big deal? You know, and when I went to see Roger Waters, it was very progressive, because there was an announcement made to everyone in the O2 Arena. Roger said, you can take pictures, you can film, whatever you want. Just go ahead. Just don't use flash photography. That's his only request. And I thought that's awesome. I really appreciate that, you know. And so I didn't get it, you know. And so people are trying to take pictures. They're kind of like, you know. And there was this fat woman who was like an usher, and she was running around. She was just like stomping, you know, across the walkway and stuff, and like almost grabbing people by the scruff of the neck and like going, "No filming," or something like that. And she was running around. She was looking up at everyone, and I was like, God, they must be really, you know, trying to clamp down on this stuff. And so I was kind of taking low angle ones and stuff, and I couldn't really get many pictures or videos without kind of getting the heads of the people in front of me, even though the seat I was in was quite high up compared to the people in front of me. There's kind of quite a nice layered system so that you don't get blocked by anyone in front of you. But taking pictures low down didn't really work, and I took a few videos and things like that. I got most of Wish You Were Here, and just some other clips of I kind of wait until like the great moments of songs I really love, and I kind of film little clips and stuff like that, which I can't show you obviously with the audio, but you know, I'll layer some actual video over without the audio, and you just hear my boring voice going over this. I wouldn't say great visuals because my shots of it weren't very good, and the camera quality isn't that good either, even though it's like HD 1080p. The lighting and the mobile phone doesn't really go too well together, but either way, it is what it is, and I'm glad that I have those videos and those pictures, even if they're not the best quality, because they represent my view, you know, and there'll be something to look back on in years to come. You know, I didn't film them to put them on YouTube or anything like that and exploit anything. I filmed it for myself, and it didn't really take away from my enjoyment either, because, you know, I can just kind of get it kind of roughly framed, press record, and then just look, you know, and take it all in myself, and so it didn't really distract from my viewing entertainment either. Yeah, and then after the first set, there was kind of the intermission, and it's so hard to kind of get up and walk past people that it's so like tightly locked in. I didn't even bother leaving. I swear I was sat there for like a good 4 hours, and slowly just kind of sweating through myself because it was so hot. But and that usually really bugs me. But I was just so content to be sat there, you know. And also another thing I want to talk about was just kind of the audience reactions, and how everyone reacts differently to music and stuff like that. Now, Gilmour's music generally is very kind of melancholic and stuff. My little sister Millie actually asked me today, she said, "Luke, do you like the song Wrecking Ball?" And I was like, "No, I don't really." And she was like, "Oh, do you like calm music?" And I was like, "Calm music?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Yeah, I guess I do." And she's like, "Oh, I don't. I like wild music." And Gilmour is definitely not, I wouldn't describe as a wild musician. A calm one is definitely one I would go for. Even if his, you know, guitar solos get quite kind of heavy at times, I feel like, or well, I guess they're kind of light, but he really goes for them sometimes. But overall, you know, it's very much a kind of melodic, melancholic feeling to his music, particularly his solo stuff. And so, you know, for me, I just kind of sit there and enjoy it. You know, I wasn't kind of grinning, I wasn't smiling, I wasn't like, yeah, oh yeah, you know, money, you know. I would kind of tap my knee up and down every now and again. I was kind of nodding my head a tiny bit, but you know, I wasn't really getting into it. And for me, that doesn't mean that I wasn't enjoying it. You know, it's like when I watch a comedy film, I don't laugh out loud, but I really enjoy it on the inside. It's just one of those things. But it was interesting seeing all the different people's reactions. It was just a complete kind of kaleidoscope of different people and different receptions to it. You know, you had those people in the stalls, which is kind of behind the stage a little bit. These two people that coked out of their tits. They were just like this, just like in the first couple of songs, just like like that, and just like you know. And they left after about 40 minutes. But it was just like, why would you spend like, you know, like 80, 90 quid just to turn up and rave for a bit and then go home? I don't understand it. And then there's two guys next to me. The one who was right next to me seemed to be a big fan. You know, he was getting his phone out to film Wish You Were Here and Shine On You Crazy Diamond and stuff, and he was like getting into it. His mate was just like that, and like after every song, you know, he's clapping, but his mate was like, you know. And then it was during like one song where he was like, like that. So it's just like, okay, are you enjoying it? Are you not enjoying it? And then I think he said at one point, like, oh yeah, is that guy from Pink Floyd or something, isn't it? Again, I don't understand how people can pay that much money on such a whim. You know what I mean? Anyway, you can never understand anyone, but the guy next to me on the left, these two kind of larger guys, and they had someone in between them. And after every song, the guy to my immediate left just kind of looked over to his mate like that, and just went like, put his fist out, and his mate went, let his fist out, and they just bumped fists, and he went. They were just quietly loving it, just like fist bump. Yeah, I like that. I like that it meant so much to them. And there was this Indian fella right in front of me, to my left, and he kind of slowly came out of his shell to the point that at the end he was really annoying me because I was trying to film Comfortably Numb, and he's just like throwing his arms up and stuff. And you can probably see him in some of these clips actually. And every lyric he's like, yeah. That was another thing, was that the crowd were great, receptive, would clap, applaud, and you know, give the musicians their credit and stuff. I mean, even the young Brazilian. Well, I don't know if he was young. He seemed young from where I was, so far away. But the younger, younger than Gilmour, Brazilian saxophone player. I think he plays some guitar as well. Did an awesome job with the saxophone solos in like Money, Us and Them. Just brilliant. He just absolutely tore it up. And even in the middle of songs, after he'd done his solo, people would just applaud him, and he'd kind of say, cheers, kind of thing. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, the audience, very respectful and stuff and clapping. But as the show got towards the end, towards the kind of the encore, you could tell everyone kind of felt, this is it. We're getting to the end of this now, and they might have felt very much like me, like this may be our only chance. And so people started getting more and more into it, and people started singing along more, through Time, the encore, which was, I think, two songs at the end, which was Time and Breathe, Reprise, and then Comfortably Numb. Throughout Time and Comfortably Numb, people would just sing, the whole thing was singing along and stuff, which they weren't doing that much throughout the show. And then people were standing up, and people were just getting so into it and stuff, and you could just tell that the whole building was becoming unglued because they sensed the end was coming, and that was kind of a really cool kind of build up into that feeling, I think. And yeah, so what more can I add? I mean, I can go through every song and I can talk about it, and I think I will in my reflections video, which will be the last video in the series, and I'll kind of go through every song and my thoughts on them. But I guess while I'm here, I could probably just get the setlist stuff actually. I could have a little sneak on Polly Sampson's, who's David Gilmour's wife, onto her Instagram page, and I can probably find the actual set list because she posted it in the beginning of the tour, so that can kind of give me a pretty good handle on the, well, not pretty good handle, it'll give me an exact handle, an exact printed look at the set list, because unfortunately he didn't differ it at all from the Brighton show, which opened the entire tour, the kind of pre-show of the tour, which is a shame because I don't know if I've even mentioned it at this point, but he played Coming Back to Life in a few European cities, and I was so excited about that because he'd added it to the set list without changing anything, but he didn't play Come Back to Life at all at the Royal Albert Hall. If he does next week, I'm going to be so pissed off because it's one of my favourite songs, and he didn't do it, and I was really disappointed. Well, not really disappointed, mildly disappointed. The whole show I just couldn't fault. Yeah, I was hoping maybe there'd be a surprise guest at the end to do Comfortably Numb or something like that, but overall, I can't be disappointed at all, or even say that. It just would have been an extra kind of cherry on top, I suppose. And also the leaked image of the soundboard earlier on in Europe that showed that Louder Than Words was on kind of the settings or something. And I really thought he was going to play Louder Than Words. Which isn't a song that I'm crazy about or anything, but it would have been really cool to see, to be one of the only people who'd ever seen it played live. So I wonder why that's on the sound mixing thing. Maybe that it was maybe going to be on the show and then he decided against it. And if he does play it next week, the other 2 dates in October at the Royal Albert Hall, I'll be really kind of annoyed because I feel like the people who went to the 23rd, 24th and 25th are the people who got there first. The people who were the true fans who really wanted to see him. And so the people who kind of got tickets after the fact, you know, nothing against them, but I'd be kind of annoyed if they got the special treatment. So we'll see how it goes. And I'll probably talk about that in the Reflections video if he changes anything for the last 2 Royal Albert Hall shows. Anyway, right, so the set list. 5 AM. Just made me love the song even more. Rattle That Lock was really good. Faces of Stone I loved. Again, really, my whole body right now is just like, okay, you're not going to be able to breathe very well during this video. You're not going to be able to hold back these suppressed burps and stuff. And there's another one. I mean, usually my motor mouth kind of way of talking in some of these videos is not usually hindered this much by my body, but right now my body's just like, you know, stop talking. But I'm going to keep on going. Face of Stone I loved on the album, one of my favourite songs. I thought it was just brilliant, and it was great live, really, really touching, and the guitar solo was fantastic on Face of Stone. Then we had Wish You Were Here. He kind of opened up, and I'm not going to go through everything, but he kind of said hello, and this is a song you might recognise, Wish You Were Here. And so I filmed all of that kind of sneakily like this in my pocket, and then I kind of just pulled the phone out and filmed more of it. And you know, to hear him even do the little kind of singing along with the acoustic solo and the kind of the break in the middle of the song was just incredible. Again, vocally he was just on top form. A little kind of fair few flubs throughout, you know, like just you know, he is, you know, nearly 70 years old and no one's perfect anyway. But for the most part, I loved his voice, but his guitar playing was ridiculously kind of on point, as the the youths of today would say. Oh, I was on point, yeah. Then A Boat Lies Waiting, which was fantastic, and it was very kind of vulnerable to see him kind of standing there with that guitar just singing. I really liked that. I liked hearing the words of Richard Wright kind of echoing throughout the building. One thing I definitely think they should have done, I'll leave it to the end actually, it involves Richard Wright. I'll leave it for the end. The Blue, I really, really liked that, and I was a fan of it from before when he played it at the Royal Albert Hall on the Remember That Night DVD. That's when I first heard the song. Yeah, I really liked The Blue, I thought it was great, and the solo was fantastic for that one as well. And then we moved on to 2 songs from Dark Side of the Moon, Money and Us and Them. Brilliant. Money was unbelievable. His solo, his you know, woo, like he was getting into it and stuff, and I saw that he was having a good time, and that's really good. And so it was infectious, I think. Us and Them was incredible, and again, every song was like the lighting and the way that it's just indescribable how perfect the lighting was, from either setting the whole stage blue or red, or having a spotlight just on Gilmour, or a slowly fading spotlight at the end of a song that kind of really fit the kind of mood of it, or flashing lights. There was kind of lights on the bottom of the stage, there was, you know, spotlights and lights coming out of the circle. I mean, it's just absolutely top notch. The lighting was just 100% perfect, brilliant, just the way it went with the music and the beats of the song. It was just timed brilliantly. In Any Tongue was a disappointment for me actually, because it's my favourite song from the new album, but he didn't sing some of the verses, which were, funnily enough, my favourite verses of the song, and I love the way he sings them on the album, but he didn't sing them. He got the backing singers to do those verses, and it just kind of lost the power for me. And I found out after the fact that his son came out to play the piano for that, which is really, really cool, but I just... well, I did love it, and I thought the solo was again amazing. I think the solos for In Any Tongue and Face of Stone are fantastic, and again, I love both songs. I was just a little bit disappointed that he didn't sing the whole songs, you know. And I feel like he could have maybe brought them down a bit if he felt like they were a bit too high to reach live, but yeah, that was something that I was kind of like, that's a shame. And then finally, the last song from set 1 was High Hopes, which is one of my favourite songs of all time. And it didn't disappoint, it really didn't, from the lap steel solo to, you know, his acoustic playing and his singing, and the whole package. It was just fantastic. It really was. It was a beautiful way to end the first set. And then the second set, was awesome. The second set opened up with Astronomy Domini, which is the first ever Pink Floyd song on an album. And this is the one that got me the most emotional, if you can believe that. And I don't know why. I guess it's because it was a Syd Barrett song. Well, it's a Pink Floyd song, but you know, Syd Barrett is kind of, you think of Syd when you think of Astronomy Domini in a way, you know, the boom boom ch ch, boom boom ch ch, and the woo. You just think of Syd, you know, that shot of him like that with the music video, just looking crazy and stuff, and to see Gilmour play that was great. And they had like kind of the funky you know, effect on Mr. Screen, which is really cool. But just, you know, the band was great, and in the middle, Gilmour just went off on one. He went absolutely, it looked like he got lost in himself, and the band were just trying to keep up, and he was just going mad on the guitar, just like this weird kind of like psychedelic jamming, and it just went on and on and on. It was just incredible. I just felt like it was such a great kind of ode to Syd in a way, and just that kind of wild, crazy abandon that he had while playing the guitar. It seemed to kind of be channeled through Gilmour on stage, and so it got me, oh, I got a little bit of a lump in the throat there. I thought it was just such a great kind of moment, you know. And going back to like 1967, I guess that was the earliest song that he played, and so, you know, the whole night featured almost 50 years of music, you know, 48 years of music represented, and so that was really, really cool. Definitely one of the highlights, and just the lights and the music, everything. Then we had Shine On You Crazy Diamond parts 1 through 5. Another one of my favourite songs of all time, and it was just hearing those 4 notes, dun, 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 you know, played by Gilmour. That's just something you'll never forget, and was incredible. Then Fat Old Son, which was, again, brilliant, and the solo was absolutely batshit crazy. I loved it. He really, really went for it. And then On an Island was great. I loved the solo in that, and the, yeah, really, really good. Then we get The Girl in the Yellow Dress, which I really enjoyed from the new album, but it's not one that I think I'd listen to that much independently of the album. And yeah, it was enjoyable. It got a little bit boring, to be honest. Yeah, I think his performance was fine and everything, and I liked the song, but it just, amidst all the epicness, you know, when you kind of, you have like Astronomy Domini and Fat Old Son and Shiny Crazy Diamond, and he's going mental and stuff on the guitar, it's like, and then just she met her, yeah, you know, it just kind of, I think it was poorly placed in the set, probably. Maybe they could have put that in the first set early on, and it probably would have flowed a little bit better, I think. And then we had Today from the new album as well, which I kind of like. It's kind of a kind of funky, upbeat one, and yeah, it was good. Nothing super memorable. And then we had Sorrow, and Sorrow is a song I've never really liked, never really got into it. And once I knew he was playing it, I tried to kind of make myself like it over the past few weeks, listening to it over and over again. Still wasn't getting it, but I have to say, seeing it live, I loved it. Like, the intro and outro was so fucking heavy, and it was like the intro and outro just had a spotlight on him and his guitar, just like destroying the guitar. It was fantastic. I loved how heavy the intro and outro was, and the rest of the song was pretty damn good too. I wasn't bowled over and thought I now love this song, but I definitely really appreciated it more in the live setting. And then finally, the last song of the second set, Run Like Hell, which from The Wall. And yeah, I really did not expect to see this song at the show at all, but it was really, really fun. Again, the lights going with the beat and stuff, and the lasers, and really, really cool. I got some, well, again, not good video, but I managed to capture how good the lighting was, just you know, my kind of poor recording, but you can kind of get the gist of it. I think it was really, really cool. And then you know, they said goodnight, and, you know, thank you for coming, and the kind of the big eclipse kind of thing came up, and just kind of like the white lights around the screen. It was awesome, such a great visual. I snapped loads of pictures of that and some video, and you know, that would have been a great ending if they just left it at that. But we knew they were coming back, and they came back on and did Time, which was fantastic. And to hear Breathe reprise as well was pretty special for me, because just the way Gilmour always sings that, you know, home, home again, I like to be here when I can. It's one of my favourite lyrics. I just love it. Every time I come here, I always think of that song, and I always try and listen to it, because it's just so simple but so fitting, and one of my favourite lyrics, just because I just like it, you know. And so to hear him sing that was really, really cool. And then finally, of course, you know, what is a Gilmour show without Comfortably Numb? And he actually kind of messed up. He messed up the first solo, which is kind of like, oh shit. and the lighting for this was unbelievable. You had the green lasers coming out. The only problem was, because I was so high up, the lasers came out to the crowd, but they didn't go up, and so it kind of just covered him, and you're kind of looking down through like almost like a floor of lasers, and you could barely see him, but it was still a really cool visual. And then for the second solo, there was these red lasers going out, not as thick walled, but very like randomly and kind of scattershot, and it was a really cool visual again. And then there was another one. There was just all sorts of good shots of not good shots, good setups of lasers and things like that. So yeah, he kind of fluffed up the beginning of the first solo, but the second solo he really went for. And I read someone was saying that sometimes he kind of delivers his best solo when he kind of messes something up earlier on to kind of compensate for it. And from what I've heard of the people who've been to all 3 shows last week, they say the third night was the best. And I wonder if he wasn't particularly energized by the fact that it was on Friday that they found out that Rattle That Lock had reached the #1 of the UK charts, and so I think I read an interview Gilmour said he'll celebrate tonight by playing in the Royal Albert Hall. And so, you know, maybe it was a bit more of a special occasion the day that the album went to, or the day they found out that it would be #1, which is really cool. Anyway, the night was over, and that was it, you know. And so I kind of just looked around and thought, well, I better get out of here and try and get back quick, and, you know, try and meet up with James Merchant so I can go back to his place and get a good night's sleep. And I kind of filmed one last little clip, which you'll see now.
Fucking incredible. Actually insane.
So yeah, actually insane. It was an incredible night. It's one I'll definitely never forget. I hope anyway. Fingers crossed I don't go mad in the end. But yeah, it was special. And I was looking at more of the merchandise, and I really wanted to get a T-shirt. And I thought, I don't need one really. They're 25 quid. It's ridiculous, you know. I don't need to be lining Mr. Gilmour's pockets with my cash when you know, I think he's doing just fine as he is. And so as I was leaving, I came across the usual kind of you know, grotty knocked off T-shirt sellers who kind of flog their wares outside the buildings, and I thought, do you know what, fuck it, I'll get one. And I had a look, and I was trying to find any discrepancies, but here is my official, unofficial, bootlegged David Gilmour Tour T-shirt. So we got the shot there of him, Rattle That Lock at the bottom, and then on the back we have David Gilmour, Rattle That Lock, and all the dates of the tour. And so the one I went to was, I kind of hold it at one hand and do it, but it's the third one from the bottom. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's the European leg tour T-shirt, because he's doing South American dates in December, North American dates next year, and he's doing some more European dates in 2016 as well. So yeah, I was like, is this just like, if this is just a stolen T-shirt, or have they just reproduced it to a high standard? And I think that's the case. I think the main image looks a little bit blurry, perhaps not as crisp, and also I think it's kind of slightly off-centered. Maybe you can tell, maybe you can't, I don't know. But I would say it's, to quote a certain Pink Floyd member, I'd say it's a fair forgery. And so there we go, that was my £10 David Gilmour T-shirt, which I probably won't wear really. I wore it earlier today, but I think that's the one and only time. I think I'll just kind of keep it as a nice memento. I'm sure after a few washes it might fall apart, so it is what it is. Yeah, I got the you know, the program, I got the T-shirt, I got the ticket, I got the album and the poster and the pic. So I'm up to my eyeballs in David Gilmour tat, and so I think yeah, I think I'll be good. And yeah, so there we go. It was awesome, it was incredible, and on my reflections video, which will be the last part of this series, I will kind of give you some final thoughts on it. Maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, a live recording of the show will come out that I'll be able to listen to. I'd love to. I almost feel like it just went by so fast that it was hard to even kind of take in at times. I'd love to go back and hear, you know, like I said, the Astronomy Domini, when he just went mental jamming. I can't really remember how it went in my head at all, you know, but I just remember thinking at the time, this is fucking nuts, you know? Yeah, I'd love to hear it back again. So that is it for now, because I've been rambling right now, currently in real time, for 50 fucking minutes, and hopefully I'll edited some of this down. But it is what it is. It's, excuse me, it is the I don't even know what this part is. It's just me talking about the show, I guess. And the next part will be me talking about my day in London with James Merchant and the films we went to see. And I'll probably wait until I get back to Norway to film that part, I guess. I don't need to rush that one, and there's not much I need to remember. But it is very cool, it was very nice, and again, I'll talk to you about that in the next part, and how I got home, and how that went. And the last few days of my trip here, the epic journey too, which has been, you know, I mean, let's just say that one of the films I watched the day after the David Gilmour show was just such a great experience that, you know, I kind of ticked off 2 items of the bucket list within a 24-hour period, which is pretty crazy, and quite a productive weekend to say the least, and definitely one of the best weekends of my life, and definitely the best music concert I've been to ever. I think I've only been to like a handful, maybe even 5. I mean, let me just think, like Meatloaf, which was awesome, Roger Waters, Rush, David Gilmour, what's that Norwegian band, what does the fox say, that Ylvis or something, yeah, take them off. That doesn't count. No, it doesn't count. Okay, anyway, so yeah, 4 or 5, but there's probably a few little small ones I've been to, like maybe my dad's band, I won't count them either, but yeah, proper like big concerts, only a handful, and this one has by far been the best. And yeah, it's nice to say that I've seen Roger Waters and David Gilmour. Would have been nice to see Nick Mason make an appearance, but I understand why not. Oh yes, I'm glad I remembered before I finished this. One thing I think they could have done, which would have been really cool, is to play a few tracks from the Endless River, and that would be Alonzi 1, Alonzi 2, and Autumn 68. And what I would propose that they do would be to have Gilmour out there and play, you know, the guitar part for Alonzi 1, and then you segue directly into Autumn 68, as it is on the album, The Endless River. And Autumn 68 is a recording of Richard Wright on the organ at Royal Albert Hall from the autumn of 1968. And so you're talking like 47 years ago. And they could have just played that track of him playing the organ, and as it is on The Endless River, have Gilmour kind of playing along on guitar, and just have it play through the building, you know. And it would just be a really cool kind of from beyond the grave kind of cool, creepy thing, and then back into Alonzi 2. And it would only have taken like 4 or 5 minutes, and I think it would have been so cool. But again, you have kind of A Boat Lies Waiting that's there as a direct tribute to Rick, and so it is what it is. And yeah, the show from top to bottom was fantastic, you know. It was imperfectly perfect for me. Of course there was going to be little flubs and things like that, but memories that will last a lifetime for me. So there we go. That's it for now. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next part. And yeah, that's been me waffling along endlessly, incessantly, incoherently. Well, I hope not too incoherent, but incoherent. There we go. See, I just keep messing this thing up, and I'm embarrassing myself, and we're near the end of the can of grape soda now, which is probably an indication of the fact that I need to wind this video down. What is going on with me lately? I just can't really get a good flow going with these videos. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll see you with the next one.